All right. Welcome back, Crypto Army. I'm Malik,
Josh?
and this is the Crypto Generals.
Good evening, everybody.
So today we're going to talk about the different headlines going on with Bitcoin, a little touch of Flare network, and also legal policies that these Congress people are thinking of passing. How do you feel about that, Josh?
I think some of these policies are a little outdated, especially with how old these Congress people are. I know that sounds a little ageist. Age
Yeah.
is ageist the right word? I don't know. But it sounds a little outdated as far as they're thinking.
Hmm.
Crypto is definitely like a futuristic, like it's ahead of its time, I feel.
Yeah.
And I just feel a lot of these people who are against cryptocurrency are against a lot of progress.
Oh yeah, it's like working at a corporation right now, like trying to get
Right.
ahead, but they're against change, the boomer generation in a sense.
Exactly.
So right now we have on the screen, we have like the different prices on coin market cap. As you can see, number one, of course, is still Bitcoin at 37,249, and our
Big
favorite
jump.
XRP
That's a
is
big
at,
jump from what it was a few months ago. It's been a bloodbath, so to speak.
yeah, it's been red days, and analysts are saying that this could be the bottom at this point. It could be going right back up again. I don't know
all
how
that
I feel
means
about
is
that.
all that means is some good buying points, which we all love. Good buying points.
Right, especially if you're day trading crypto, this will be a good time to get back in as it's rising up and then exit right the fuck back out.
100%.
Yep. So as you can see, XRP is going back up as well. About a couple of days ago, it was at what 85 cents. Now it's at 89 cents. If you follow our Twitter, you would see some speculation that we posted using the Fibonacci tool. That's our estimation of what we feel the price will enter in the next day or so. So far, so good.
Hopefully we have some green days ahead of us. It would be definitely nice to get out of this bloodbath.
Exactly. So right now we have Dr. Daryl Duffy, I'm pretty sure that's his last name, speaking to the Senate Banking Subcommittee hearing about cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin. So just listen to what he says and let us know what y'all think in the comments.
Well, has emphasized it's very difficult to stop the use of Bitcoin, but you can make it criminal in many different countries. If you have an international agreement among countries that Bitcoin will not be permitted to be converted into the local currency, then the criminals will be trapped with owning Bitcoin that they can't spend. And I think the best thing to do is for the US and other countries to get together and agree that in none of their countries will Bitcoin be convertible into the local currency. Right.
That's an interesting take. He doesn't want Bitcoin to be converted into any type of local currency because he feels that criminals are using it to their advantage. So he wants to just chop it off at the head at the source.
Right, and there is some truth to what he's saying. I do know that there have been records of terrorist organizations using Bitcoin. Like I don't know how accurate it is, but I have heard there have been used by terrorist organizations such as like ISIS to fund some of their to get anonymous donations to fund some of their activities and such. So like I feel there may be some truth to that, but at the same time it's.
Sort of like scapegoating in a way.
Right.
Scapegoating. Yeah, like they're using that, oh, because this is happening in one instance, we should just ban it altogether. And that's true. Terrorists have been using it, like you said, ISIS and other like Russian terrorists as well. Usually with ransomware that recently happened with the pipeline, all the gas prices going up, people panic buying because the I believe what the system was hacked, so the pipeline wasn't issuing out gas and stuff. So because of that, it's kind of I understand, but at the same time, it doesn't make sense to ban a cryptocurrency because terrorists are going to terrorize.
Right. And to go off more of that, Bitcoin is I want to say they're like the entry crypto. They're the ones that put crypto on the map. So what they would be doing is they'd be basically cutting off a huge entry point and a huge like population of people who are invested in it because we all know how like when the first thing that comes out it's the most popular because it's the only thing, it's the first thing. So it would be counterproductive, I think, for the whole crypto community in a whole to ban something such as Bitcoin like that,
Right.
regardless
And
of how much we do not like it.
exactly. So volatile. It's hard to make the argument that it can be a what's the word phrase? Basically like a
That
local currency in a sense. Like it's holds value. It's too volatile. It goes up and down too much for people
right,
to want to hold on to it and expect to it can be 60,000 one month and then when you cash out because you're about to put money down on the mortgage, for instance, now it's 30,000. So it has its benefits but also has its negatives. And that's probably why Elizabeth Warren recently did an interview about cryptocurrencies in general. So let's take a look at what she said.
Senator Warren, thank you so much for joining us. Let's start with like the digital currencies that are going up and down every day a lot. You started the hearing with some pretty harsh words for them, saying they've failed to deliver on some of the promises of a more inclusive financial system. They're volatile. They're not good for spending. In your view, do they need to be regulated further? And is there something specific in mind that you have that would sort of bring this area under control better?
So this was our first hearing on digital currencies, and we had a chance to talk with experts, bring in a lot of senators around it. But the bottom line was that what's happening right now in cryptocurrency, like Bitcoin and Dogecoin, it's a wild west out there. And it makes it not a good way to buy and sell things, and not a good investment, and an environmental disaster. So do we need some regulation around this? You bet we do.
So I agree with half of what she said. I feel as though we do need regulation around cryptocurrency. Look what's happening with Ripple right now and its case against the SEC. There's not enough clarity. There's not enough foundation to say this is what's good, this is what's bad. And I feel as though regulation is needed. However, I do not feel that cryptocurrency is not a solid investment. Like she said, she feels it's not a solid investment. I feel it is. I don't know how you feel, Josh. How do you feel about it?
um, I, I think a lot of what she has to say is very valuable. She doesn't seem to completely dismiss it, while she does seem to be more against it than with it. She does bring up a very valid point of being compliant or having some type of regulations, because we don't want it to be like the Wild West out of here where there's manipulation or like people can just create their own things and it being a scam, a Ponzi scheme, etc. It would be healthy for the community as a whole to have regulations. So I do agree with it on that end, but I don't think it needs to be taken to the point of to the extreme as to what she's probably proposing.
Right. And I guess that kind of piggybacks onto what Dr. Duffy was saying about how people are using it. I feel she might be hinting that as well. She was in the same subcommittee with him, so I mean they
Mhm.
did bring him on for some reason. Um,
Right.
so
I mean, there
that's
has to be some type of validity to what they're saying,
right.
which I do agree to a sense. Like the whole issue with like ungoverned terrorist organizations using cryptocurrency to fund them, I don't agree.
Right, because who's to say they aren't using legal tender? They're not using credit cards. They're not using cash. I mean, most
Right.
of the time they use cash. So what are y'all doing to regulate that? You can only do so much. So I feel that can be made the same argument with cryptocurrency. Now we're going to discuss the billionaire Mark Lazary. Is that how you say his last name? I'm just gonna assume it is. He is the guy that is the co-owner of the Milwaukee Bucks. If y'all watch NBA, I do not. So that was pretty interesting to see that they got his take. But you know what media does? They like getting a billionaire's point of view since they are wealthy and they usually make solid investments.
They seem to know what they're doing.
Right, for the most part. So he basically says that he wished that he should have bought a lot more Bitcoin. He started investing into Bitcoin, I believe, in 2017. And ever since then, or no, he's started to invest in 2018. And so right now, due to the fluctuation of Bitcoin, with the China, they were shutting down miners due to electricity restraints, and now New York State is passing legislation in the assembly to freeze Bitcoin miners and Ethereum miners for about 3 years because of climate change as well. So basically, he's stating that, or speculates, I should say, that Bitcoin can either go up or down. It can either go up to 100,000 or it can drop back down to 20,000 when it did back in 2017. What
You
do you
know, I
feel?
I think that I do believe that it would go up as far as Bitcoin prices due to the fact that just because we're counting or we're removing one region being able to mine it doesn't mean that there are other places mining it themselves, but it also makes it a little more scarce, or the amount coming into the market a little more scarce due to the fact that there's not as much mining. But I mean, we all know that there's about 60% of the hash rate in China, so I don't think it'll affect it too much.
Mhm.
Maybe on the, I guess the, what's the word I'm looking for? The popularity side of things, it might scare people,
Right.
like the people who aren't strong enough to hold it like they should.
Yeah, the people who hopefully don't take
And
out loans to buy into Bitcoin just for a quick
the,
buck.
the emotional buyers, we like to say.
Yeah, the FOMOers, the saying, if your
Exactly.
neighbor already talks about it to you, you might already be too late. So, along with the change in Bitcoin price, a Bloomberg analyst believes that Bitcoin will rise too. So, not as much as 100,000, but to 40,000 in the next few days or week or so. So, based on this article posted by Cointelegraph, he said in his tweet that Bitcoin plunge and revisit of lower end range support around 30,000 had many of the earmarks of extreme bearish sentiment typical of more enduring bullish bull market bottoms. Basically, that means that he's saying that eventually Bitcoin will start to be back in a bull market. So I'm not sure if you've been looking on Twitter, Josh, recently, specifically at the crypto community. Some have been saying we're in a bear market. Other ones have been saying no, it's just a correction. We're still in the bull market. What do you think we're in?
Be honest, it's hard to say. I know that there are typical seasons as to which there's a lot of factors in which crypto will rise and fall. Mainly right now, certain cryptos are going up and down due to fads because people like, Elon Musk saying stuff.
Hmm.
Like he is a big influence on it. Or as we know, Bitcoin fluctuates due to events in China. When the floods happened, it went down. So, I mean, it's hard to say truthfully, I think. But, I mean, all I know right now is it's a great time to start buying as things have taken a turn for the worst recently.
Exactly.
So, it's a good buying opportunity at the very least.
I agree. If you're going to invest in the Bitcoin, I would say now's a good time, especially with it dropping down to where it's at right now. I do feel it is going to increase. It's enough, like, let's say you put in $500, you'll get like a nice percentage back, basically. Just
Yeah.
know it will be taxed.
But also, we are not financial advisors. Like we always say at the beginning of every video, do your due diligence. Make sure what you're doing is knowledge based and everything.
Exactly. Not everything is a get rich quick scheme. Not everything can be made quickly. Like it's cool. Y'all see go on Twitter, you see people posting their P&Ls, 30, 40,000, $50,000 in P&L within one day. But you have to realize they've been doing this for a while now. Some of them are going based off of speculation and high risk, risking at from what I've seen, 100% of their account. So
Yep.
just take the time to do your due diligence before you actually get into cryptocurrency, especially. Like stocks are
Correct.
different. I mean, you should still do your due diligence, but crypto is like a whole different ballpark.
I
And
100% agree.
yep, and then with Bitcoin, if you haven't heard already, El Salvador has become the first country to approve Bitcoin as legal currency, which is very interesting because they have I would consider them a I'm not saying a third world country, but it's between second and third world. And so it's interesting to see that they allowed Bitcoin to become its legal tender alongside the US dollar. And it looks like it'll be legal tender within the next 90 days now that their Congress has approved it. And then
Which
by
that's
majority
pretty.
votes.
I would agree. I would say that was I would say it is a very streamlined, mainstream thing to do. It's good for it's good for the whole crypto market. So who's to say that we won't see any other places make crypto a valid currency? Because, like I said earlier, Bitcoin is a gate. It was a gateway for all the other cryptocurrencies.
Right. Yes, I agree completely. Without Bitcoin, a lot of these cryptocurrencies would not be here today.
Agreed.
And I noticed, I forget his name. He's like a lawyer. He's also like been posting up. I'm gonna figure it out, and I might post it in like the comments or the bio of this video. But basically, he's saying without Bitcoin price action, that's what XRP is using to increase or fluctuate in a sense. So without Bitcoin, XRP wouldn't be fluctuating as high or as low as what it would be without Bitcoin.
Right.
So that's interesting that how much influence Bitcoin has on the entire market. But it makes sense. And so the last thing we'll talk about before we move on to China and Flare Network, has anyone ever heard of the Bitcoin conference in Miami that happened over the weekend? Have
If
you,
you
Josh?
have, let us know in the comments what your
Yes.
experience is with that.
It seemed it was I'm not going to say cult-ish, but just take a listen of this
So
video.
not only do I think Bitcoin toxicity is important, I think it's absolutely necessary. And if you're against Bitcoin toxicity, you're against Bitcoin. And if you're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom, period.
So shout out to Crypto Erie. Love her. Follow her on YouTube. Follow her on Twitter. How do you feel about his sentiment about Bitcoin equals toxicity, and if you don't like it, you don't like freedom?
Uh, I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like that's a part of that has a if you're against America, you're against freedom type of vibe. Now,
Right.
there's nothing wrong with having pride in your country, don't get me wrong, but it sounds almost cultish to
It
me,
does.
at least.
It honestly does. It's giving me QAnon. Like, have you tried not convincing, but informing a Bitcoin person in the community who's very involved about the issues or possibilities of it declining? Have you tried doing that before? Because when I did, they tried biting my head off, even with when I
Yeah,
came with logical facts.
yeah, there's a lot of denial, at least from what I can see. A lot of denial, a lot of misinformed information in the Bitcoin world, at least as far as I've experienced with people. When you bring them facts, they don't want to hear why it's bad. They're on that bandwagon.
Right. It's a lot of it's FUD, it's FUD. Like, don't listen to it, it's FUD. But then a few months later, something happens related to what you were telling them, and they're like, "Oh, that's just a correction." Oh, blah blah blah. But is it a correction, or is it something that we've mentioned before and you just chose to ignore?
Yeah, I'm
So,
not sure.
so something else, not specifically related to Bitcoin, but more so the changes in China. So, as we mentioned before earlier in this video, that China began to cease Bitcoin miners from mining Bitcoin, flip that around. And now they're also trying to block their search engines from top crypto exchanges. So they cannot find Binance, OKEX, or I can't say this one, UOB on a search engine. So that's pretty interesting how China is now blocking. Well, I mean, it's not surprising, but it's interesting. And
Suppressing.
yeah, like it's interesting how like they're now trying to prevent people from gaining access to anything except their digital coin that they're trying to push to their citizens.
Yeah. Sounds to me like there's a lot of filtration, just like they did to the NBA. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, I remember that when that happened.
So I
And I'm
mean,
not sure. Oh, I'm not sure if you saw their recent FinTech 2025 report that came out yesterday. but
No.
basically they're saying that they're competing, and they expect to have their own digital currency up and running by 2025.
Okay, that's cool.
So I can see why they're doing it. It's not surprising, but I'm sorry, it's the Chinese citizens that have to now figure out VPNs and better methods of connecting to crypto exchanges.
All I gotta say is if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, it must be a chicken.
Right. Not surprising at all. Hopefully you don't eat the
Nope.
chicken though.
Hopefully not.
So if you haven't heard already, Flare Finance. If you are an XRP holder, you have about 1 day left to claim your Spark tokens. If you have Coinbase, it would automatically do it for you, so there's nothing you really have to do at this time. If you
That's
still, oh, go ahead.
that's good to know. I was a little relieved today. I don't remember seeing anything on Coinbase saying that they were doing that. So that's good to hear at least.
Yeah, so I would suggest everyone follow Flare Finance, specifically the Flare community on Twitter. They answer a lot of people's questions. I saw someone ask about Coinbase, and they said they didn't have to do anything because the exchange will handle it themselves, and they will deliver it to the users' accounts, basically.
Be nice.
Exactly. So Flare Finance is launching, I believe, in about a day or so. Make sure you get your Spark token, and these are the assets that will be used on the network. So you have YFlare, YFin, YUSD, Flare XRP, Litecoin, XLM, Doge, Algo, ADA, SHIB, Sanshu, never heard of that one, Tel, Cell, BNB, and Cake. Cake is a new one I haven't heard either.
I don't want to look into cake. Maybe we'll do that next video.
Right. We might do that actually, just to look into it, figure out what the white paper is and stuff like that. All right, so we're just going to wrap up the video. Hope y'all enjoyed. Make sure you comment down below, subscribe to the video, share with everyone.
Like it as well. And
Yes,
remember, do your own due diligence. Look for the facts. Research is key in
research is definitely
making
key.
good long-term investments that will yield money.
Exactly. Or if you want to do short term, watch watch the 1 minute charts. Don't move to like the day charts and expect a big jump, or you might miss it actually. So follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and again, make sure you subscribe. Have a great one, Crypto Army.
Peace.